Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Big George Foreman, the miraculous story of the once and future heavyweight champion of the world. That is the one and only time I am saying that title. I don't know why the title needs to be that long. It's unnecessary. It's wordy. It bugs the hell out of me. So as usual, we're gonna be going over the pros and cons. So let's get to it. Pros. Oof. Um. Mm, well, while its reviews aren't great, they're not anything to write home about at all. Audience score is much, much, much higher at 96%. So this is clearly a situation where audiences are more receptive than critics. And because like the type of movie this is, like I imagine so like with sports movies, it's very easy. They're very easy to please. They're easy crowd pleasers. You don't have to do a whole lot to, please the crowd. It's kind of hard to screw up a movie like this to make audiences like hate it. so and so yeah, and its cinema score is also up. If I can get to it. Ugh. Okay, my laptop's being slow, which I doesn't surprise me too much because it's like 2 a.m. um, cinema score. All right, show me the score. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. An A minus, which is fine, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, word of mouth seems to be good, even if critics' reviews aren't. So I guess that's a pro. Um, uh, I don't know, man. What else can I say? I mean, I guess the story itself about like George Foreman, like anyone who's a fan of him, I feel like uh they would obviously be interested in this movie because usually for like movies that are based off real people or real events and all that, obviously there's going to be some interest, from people who either know about these events or know about these people or are fans of these people. They're going to be the most interested in the story. So yeah, I'd label that as a pro. A bit of a minor pro though. And I think that's really it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cons. Review scores. They're not, the reviews aren't terrible by any means, but they're not great either. And far from great. It's at 43%. So, not exactly something I'd proclaim I would, brag about. But its audience score is much better, so I don't think it'll have too much. I don't think that'll be like the main culprit for why this movie doesn't do well. But it won't help. So, um, reviews its review score. That's a con. A bigger con is that this movie's got like no real hard push like at all in the marketing department. I mean, granted, Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret hasn't gotten a huge push either, but at least people know that movie exists. And with Sisu, people definitely know that movie exists because they've been pushing ads for that movie pretty frequently. But for this, it's just like who cares, right? No one really cares. And like Sony have done a pretty pitiful job making people care. And it doesn't help that this is a boxing movie coming out literally 1 month after we already got a boxing movie in the form of Creed 3, which had infinitely more hype surrounding it. So, yeah, like, I don't know, man, but yeah, marketing is not good. So, that's a con. Another con is that this whole weekend is just weak because the final weekend of April is historically weak, with very few exceptions. For the most part, this is a weekend people skip, and they just wait to watch the big Marvel movie the next weekend. because I mean it's not like the studios put out like a whole lot of compelling product, and this definitely falls into the into like that trap of not being compelling enough for people to watch. So yeah, the weekend this is coming out. Not to mention summer movie season the next weekend. You have Guardians 3, and then we just go on from there. And this movie is just gonna. I have a feeling this movie's gonna fall apart real fast once Guardians 3 comes out. But yeah, just like the weekend this is coming out, that's a con in my book. It's just a historically weak weekend. Trying to think of some other cons. I guess like when it comes to like biopics, sometimes they don't always land. Sometimes they can land. Sometimes they can do fantastic, but that's not always the case. All right. I mean, look at Whitney Houston. I Want to Dance with Somebody. Okay, from last year, last Christmas, only a few months ago. You would think this movie would do really well because it's about Whitney Houston. Everyone knows who Whitney Houston is. No, this movie did terrible, god awful. Only made like $23 million domestically, 59 million worldwide, which is pitiful, absolutely pitiful. And I feel like this movie, Big George Foreman, is kind of in the same ballpark as I Want to Dance with Somebody, to the point where just nobody cares. No one cared about either of them. Audiences just gave both movies a big old shoulder shrug. And I can't imagine like the fate of this is going to be any different. In fact, I think it's going to be a lot worse than I Want to Dance with Somebody. So yeah, just biopics not being super reliable all the time. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. So unreliable genre, I label that as a con. Another huge con is this Thursday previews, which I wasn't expecting to be great in the first place, but goddamn, 250,000. That is low, like super low in this day and age. I like look at that. I want to dance with somebody. It's the perfect comparison. Let's compare it to that, shall we? I'm pretty sure this has Thursday previews on there. Look at the previews. 730,000 in previews. Grant, this came out on a weird weekend. There was like snow everywhere, ice everywhere. Weather was trash, and obviously, and they had Christmas Eve on Saturday. Obviously, that's going to negatively affect any movie. It fell 59% that day. Um, but only opened with like less than $5 million. I think, yeah. So the fact that Whitney Houston, oh, damn, the fact that the Whitney Houston movie can perform like this bad, and the fact that Big George Foreman is apparently doing a lot worse, that's a sign of disaster in my mind. So yeah, pathetic Thursday preview numbers, con. And I think that's really it. So opening weekend, foolish me at the beginning of the month thought maybe this could hit double digits. No chance in hell of that happening. I don't even think it's gonna reach 5 million at this point. I think this movie is gonna bomb hard. I'm lowballing super hard. 2 to 3 million opening weekend. I'm going that low. And its total, I'd be amazed if it hit 10 million. I don't think it will. It'll be less than 10 million. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm sticking with. And that's it. So, two more movies to go. Those movies being Polite Society and Sisu. And then that'll be the end of April. So, boy, talk about ending on a low note. But, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. If you want to watch any of those or any other ones I've done the past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. This movie, I technically covered it before, but the thing is, it um It went by a different name at the time. I believe it was Heart of a Lion. Let me see. Yeah, I see Heart of a Lion. Yeah, I think that was it at that time. I don't think his title's finalized yet, but I covered that alongside 65, Next Goal Wins, They Listened, and Twisters. That was episode 170. So you just gotta find the thumbnail with Taika Waititi's face, and you'll find it. So yeah, I think it's the only time I really talked about it like in detail. I don't remember talking about it any other time. I may be wrong, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the only time I really talked about it. Maybe I talked about it one other time. I'll check. No, it doesn't seem like I did. Or if I did, it wasn't in detail. But that's the only one I remember. And I also did a cancel episode very recently at 187, talked about Mission Impossible 7 and the creator. So if you want to watch that or any other cancel episodes I've done on the channel, want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that. So go do it. Um, there's also shoot. I lost my train of thought. Also, box office recaps where I go over the box office results for a particular month. April recap will come out the second week of May, so right after Guardians 3 comes out. So stay tuned for that. I'm mainly going to be talking about one movie, and I think you know what that movie's going to be. And everything else is just there. That's literally the whole story of April in a nutshell. So if you want, stay tuned for that video. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.